Did you know that some objects don't just hold memories, they hold intent? Intent that lingers long after their owners are gone. Waiting, watching, choosing their next connection. Tonight, we step into the shadowed history of one of the world's most unsettling relics. A doll whispered about in museum basements, in cold winter towns, and the nightmares of those who've seen her smile. Her name is Anabella. They say the first warning sign wasn't the doll itself, but the silence that followed it. Silence like a house holding its breath. Silence like something inside those walls didn't want to be found. Anabella was discovered in the corner of an abandoned farmhouse in rural Vermont, a place locals refused to enter, even in daylight. Boards hung crooked, doors swung open without wind, and crows perched on the roof as if guarding something they could not explain. Inside, a restoration crew worked through the wreckage. Dust drifted like ash. Wallpaper peeled in long, curling strips. The air felt older than the house itself. And there, under a rotting blanket, they found her. A small porcelain doll, wrapped as though someone had tried, desperately, to hide her from the world. Her porcelain face bore long, hairline fractures. Her glass eyes were clouded, but strangely focused, as if she were looking through them, not with them. And her smile, that faint, knowing curve, looked impossibly fresh, untouched by time. The restoration team joked nervously about her, called her creepy, called her haunted, but the room felt colder while they stood there. And even after they left, they swore they heard something small shifting behind them. Not a draft, not settling wood, a presence. Anabella was transported to the county museum for evaluation. The curator believed she might be a valuable antique, a simple artifact from a simpler time. But the night she arrived, strange things began. The security cameras glitched. The screens flickered and warped, all except the one pointed directly at Anabella's case. That one showed movement, just a twitch, a tilt of the head, a subtle shift in the shadows behind her. The guard on duty said he heard faint tapping on the glass. Soft, rhythmic, like a child knocking gently to be let out. He quit the next morning, but Anabella's story reaches far deeper than a museum vault. Her origins trace back to the early 1900s, when she belonged to a small girl named Eliza. Eliza was quiet, strange to some, but gifted with an unsettling ability to talk to things no one else could see. Her parents believed the doll was a comfort to her, that Anabella was helping their daughter feel less alone. But children often sense things adults cannot, and sometimes their comfort comes at a cost. Eliza's behavior grew eerie. She whispered to dark corners, slept with the doll beside her every night, and once told her mother, "Anabella says she remembers me, even from before." No one understood what she meant. Their confusion turned to fear the night she disappeared. Winter howled through the countryside that night. Snow piled against doors and windows. And sometime between dusk and dawn, Eliza vanished. Her bedroom window was cracked open. Curtains fluttered like shivering ghosts. And in the hallway, illuminated by the cold moonlight, sat Anabella. Her dress was soaked, dripping as if she had been out in the snow. But she sat perfectly upright, waiting. Eliza's footprints led away from the house. Border, small, fragile, but the investigators saw something else. A second set of footprints beside hers, also small, but perfectly shaped, unmistakably doll-sized. They ended at the tree lean. Eliza did not return. Anabella, however, did. She was found the next morning, sitting on the kitchen table, dry now, her smile unchanged. Despite the horror of the case, no one destroyed her. Perhaps they feared what destroying her might unleash. Perhaps they believed she was evidence. Or perhaps she wanted to stay. Over the decades, Anabella moved through several hands. Estate sales, collectors, antique dealers. Each time she appeared, tragedy followed. A collector found her sitting at the foot of his bed night after night, angled just slightly toward him. Closer each time. He insisted he never moved her. His housekeeper believed him. He vanished one winter night, leaving his home unlocked, dinner half prepared, and the doll seated neatly at the dining table, porcelain hands folded politely, as if waiting for him to return. Neighbors refused to enter the property, not because of what they saw, but because of what they felt. A quiet, a stillness, a cold breath on the back of their necks whenever they approached the door. Anabella was eventually acquired by the museum, locked in a glass case, out of sight, out of reach, or so they thought. One stormy night, the museum lost power. The emergency lighting flickered, and the staff heard something shatter. When they reached Anabella's display room, her case was destroyed. Glass sprayed across the floor like ice shards. But there were no signs of forced entry. No footprints. No traces. Nothing. They found her hours later, seated in the archive storage room, centered beneath a single flickering light bulb. Her hands folded, her head tilted, her cloudy eyes staring blankly forward. And on the wooden wall behind her, scratched deep into the grain, was one word: Eliza. The museum sealed the room, banned night shifts, and moved Anabella into a locked storage vault. Metal doors, infrared sensors, double locks. Yet the disturbances did not end. Researchers eventually examined Anabella to understand the phenomena. What they found was worse than speculation. Inside her porcelain shell, beneath layers of antique fabric and stuffing, was a small cavity, lined with bone fragments. Children's bone fragments, small enough to belong to someone Eliza's age. They couldn't explain how they got there, or when, or why. Some suggested ritual, some suggested possession, some insisted it was a hoax. But no one could explain why museum staff continued hearing soft footsteps in the storage hallway at night, even when the vault remained locked. Slow, measured, playful, as though a child were wandering between shelves. Then came the mornings when the cloth covering Anabella would be slightly moved. A corner lifted, a wrinkle shifted, one glass eye peeking out, watching, waiting. No cameras ever captured the movement. No staff member admitted opening the vault at night. And still her smile grew. Not by much, not enough to be obvious, but enough that people felt wrong looking at her. Like she recognized them, like she remembered them, like she was choosing. People claim dolls cannot move on their own, that objects hold no power, that stories like these are simply legends whispered in the dark. But legends begin somewhere, in silence. The kind that follows Anabella everywhere, is rarely empty. If you stare at her long enough, you might feel it too. The cold breath on your skin, the soft tapping in the walls, the sensation that something small is shifting in the corner of your eye. Some say Anabella is cursed. Some say she is a vessel. Some say she carries the spirit of the girl she last held. But the truth is simpler, more unsettling. Some dolls are loved. Some dolls are forgotten. But Anabella is neither. She is patient. She is persistent. She is still choosing. And tonight, she might choose you.